Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, I read Jake Tapper's book, so you don't have to, but I'm furious for even having done so. I'll tell you why. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
Just as we were wrapping up the show yesterday, we had breaking news in the good news segment. And what was it? That FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino had announced that he had requested an investigation into allegations of targeted violence against religious groups after the Christian concert, which was held in Cal Anderson Park on Saturday, was targeted by Antifa and far-left violence. Quote, "We have asked our team to fully investigate allegations of targeted violence against religious groups at the Seattle concert. Freedom of religion isn't a suggestion." So, by the way, he's 100% right. We made the point briefly yesterday, but they were targeted twice, this group, not just by the far-left activists, but by the city of Seattle. The city of Seattle made them shut down their concert. You don't get to restrict free speech. Now, if things are getting out of hand, the question is, why did things get out of hand on Saturday? And what we come back to every time is Antifa thinks they run the city. They think they can bully everybody. I remember when Pride was about, we just want to be accepted. We just want to marry who we want. Love is love. Now it's about, accept me the way I am. No matter how crazy or violent or whatever it is, you need to accept whatever insane thing I am saying, regardless if it's about gender or not, or else I'm going to beat the crap out of you. You know what this reminds me of? The school bully. The school bully has a really big bark, but not much bite when it really comes down to it. I'm reminded of a little story from my sordid past. My brother used to get picked on a lot when we were younger, and I would have to defend him from time to time. One time, this bully never messed with him again because this bully was all bark and no bite. I have been this height since 7th grade. Everybody thought I was going to be 6'2", 6'3". Nope. Stopped growing when I hit the 5'9". But to a middle schooler, that's ginormous. I was always in the back of every picture because I was in the back row where the tall people went. I was the center of the Jewish basketball league of my team. I was one of the tallest ones because nobody else had had their growth spurt yet. Yes, magically between my 8th grade year and freshman year of high school, I went from being center to point guard. It was really, really impressive. But when I was that age, my brother was getting picked on one day. And this happened regularly from the exact same kid. And my father said, Brooklyn justice. I am not advocating for this, parents who have kids in the car, but I knew what my father meant. So I went up to the kid, who's this little nothing thing, and I picked him up by the scruff of his shirt. Yes, literally held him off the ground and said, leave my brother alone or else. Now, I was not a violent kid. In fact, people used to call me the gentle giant because I was that big, even though 5'9", not really that ginormous. And I remember when I did this, the kid, the color just drained out of his face. Yeah, I would too if this giant holds you up and starts saying, don't touch my brother again. What happens? His teacher, who is also my brother's teacher, this kid's teacher, who is also this little nothing of a thing, comes over and starts yelling at me. So I've got the kid, I'm holding him up one way, I'm turning the other way to now argue with the teacher, and the kid starts swinging at me while the teacher's yelling at me. So I kind of like chuck the kid a little bit. Yes, I'm admitting to a whole bunch of things that I did when I was 12 or 13 years old. Threw this kid a little bit, and the teacher grabbed me by my ear. This was the 90s. This isn't like the 50s or 60s. Grabbed me by the ear and dragged me out of the room, and I got yelled at by the principal. Now, my favorite part is the principal goes, why'd you do it? And I said, because my father told me to. The principal goes, wait, what? And I said, yes, my father told me to. He goes, I'm going to call your father, and I'm going to ask him. I said, go right ahead. Of course, here I am scared because I've never been in the principal's office before. I was not the kid who talked back to the principal or any of that. I wasn't being a smart you-know-what. So what happens is he calls my father, Mr. Hoffman, I have your son sitting here in my office. Yes. What did he do? Well, he apparently hit another kid, and he says, you told him to do it. And my father goes, yep, I did. Principal doesn't know what to do in that situation. Why am I telling you this story? That kid never bothered my brother again. Does that mean I'm condoning violence? Of course not. But bullies don't like when they're confronted. They don't like when people push back on their insanity. And the Seattle activists have been bullying this entire region for the better part of a decade, if not more. What is it? Since the actual battle in Seattle during the WTO riots, they just assume Seattle's a lost cause. They're going to riot no matter what we do. Then it was May Day. Then it was Ferguson, not Bob Ferguson, the city Ferguson. Then what was it? It was Antifa and the BLM and George Floyd and all that until today. Now we've got Trans-Tifa. They will stop when they realize that every time they do this, they get arrested and that people aren't putting up with it anymore. They will stop. Look what's happening with the Hamasniks, by the way. Have you noticed the Hamasniks kind of disappeared from the conversation? Sure, there's still people wearing keffiyehs and carrying the Palestinian flags, but now it's about to be Pride Month. Let's bring Trans-Tifa back. Let's go LGBTQ, whatever the cause of the day is. These people just want to riot. And it's the same activists we see at everything. What was the big excuse during the Saturday riot against the Christian rock group? They're on our turf. How dare those agitators, those aggressors, those far-right extremists come onto our turf and our park? Cal Anderson, don't you know who it's named after? Don't you know this is the historic LGBTQIABC, whatever it is, neighborhood of Seattle? Don't you? They shouldn't have come on our turf. What's your excuse for targeting them at City Hall? Is City Hall also your turf? Because at the end of the day, they want the fight. And these are a different kind of bully. If you look at who showed up to protest the Christians yesterday, these are the kind of bullies who live in their mother's basements. These are the kind of bullies who are frustrated theater kids, and it takes one to know one. These are the kind of bullies who just want to cause a problem for the attention. There's a video of a bunch of them dancing topless with their trans surgeries on the streets. We have a serious mental health crisis in this country we should be addressing, and we're not. But the way these lunatics stop is when everybody says enough is enough. People at the concert yesterday, because, yeah, there was prayer and there was concert as part of the Christian demonstration calling for the mayor to apologize or resign for calling them a bunch of far-right extremists and demonizing them and throwing the Seattle Police Department under the bus as opposed to the Antifa lunatics who attacked the protest, is that people at the concert couldn't even hear what the protesters were saying. Most of the altercations happened on the way in or on the way out, where Antifa and far-left activists were waiting for them. What do? They beat up two detransitioners. One of them is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Tell me about your tolerance again. They don't care who they target. They just like to target people because they like to be in charge, and it's their way or the highway. Yes, the Justice Department should be investigating this. And for those of you on the left who might say, Donald Trump is just targeting his political enemies and just likes wielding the Justice Department, let me ask you this. What makes more sense? Targeting far-left activists who literally attack a Christian group because they feel like getting into a fist fight, or the Biden administration targeting parents who were objecting at school board meetings to the curriculum their kids were being taught. What makes more sense? What makes more sense? How about this one? Asking the Justice Department to declare parents domestic terrorists because you don't like what they're saying at school board meetings. We can get into how they investigated Trump and all that other stuff another time. I'm trying to keep it with very simple comparisons. It's very clear to see which party is the one of violence. You know, I hate what happened on January 6th for many, many reasons. It's awful. The optics are terrible. People rioting at the Capitol is awful. Yes, we can disagree or we can agree on what happened in one side of the building versus the other side of the building. But the thing that I am most upset about and some of you may get mad at me for saying this, the thing I'm most upset about, we had just had an entire summer of left-wing violence. Ever since January 6th, the media was waiting for the right to do something so they could say, see how dangerous those right-wing extremists are? Who are the ones who are rioting in Ferguson? Who are the ones who have been rioting during Black Lives Matter, George Floyd? Who are the ones who riot every time the sun comes out on Pride weekend? Who are the ones who riot for whatever their cause is and attack anybody else? It's the left every single time. Not our liberal friends, not our Democrat friends, not our moderate friends, not our centrist friends. It is the far leftivists every single time. Also the anarchists who will pick whatever cause it is just as an excuse to riot. And for years, we haven't had actual law and order do anything about it. You have the mayor caving to them because he's afraid of them. And where does this violence lead? Because it does lead somewhere. So, we found out that D.C. shooter Elias Rodriguez called for the genocide of white people in his text messages. Now, this is a guy who also supported the genocide of Jews, free Palestine, and all that. Elias Rodriguez, the man recently accused of killing 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C., called for the genocide of white people, according to leaked text messages obtained by journalist Ken Klipperstein, which revealed the shooter's disturbing obsession with this particular demographic. Additionally, witness testimony and additional messages demonstrated that Rodriguez held an animosity toward Israel and supported Hamas, the Palestinian terrorist organization, according to the Post-Millennial. The communications provide a more comprehensive understanding of the alleged cold-blooded killer's political ideologies and long-standing convictions. He wrote, LOL, you probably would have to actually genocide white people to make this a normal country, he told his friends. Like even a very targeted and selective rehabilitation program would probably have to lead to the lifetime imprisonments of tens of millions of white people. This is the kind of stuff he was texting about. This guy was supporting Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, Syria, Hamas. This is the kind of stuff he was talking about, and he's not alone. Some of you may say, he's a lone gunman. He's a lunatic. He's somebody who took this too far. Yeah, I don't think he's a bug. I think he's a feature. The Democratic Socialists of America Liberation Caucus posted this. They say, it's an excellent statement that we are proud to add our name to. Free Elias Rodriguez and all political prisoners. What are they retweeting? Unity of Fields, the far-left Hamas-affiliated group, which put out this whole statement about how Elias Rodriguez's targeted attack of 2 Israeli diplomatic staff was a legitimate act of resistance against the Zionist state. So they're justifying the murder of Jews? They are saying, and the DSA took a screenshot of part of this statement and retweeted it along with the Unity of Field statement. The Palestinian struggle is the tip of the spear against global imperialism. As imperialism has made the entire world its battlefield, it is justified to fight it by any means necessary without regard for geography. This holds especially true for those of us struggling behind enemy lines inside the U.S., an entity that is an equal party in all crimes committed by the Zionists. This is the insanity they're pushing. In fact, they continue. Whether in the besieged Gaza Strip, the Red Sea, it's just boats going through the Red Sea. So you're saying the war against the Houthis who are targeting our shipping is unjustified? The south of Lebanon, oh, you mean Hezbollah? Or the heart of the U.S., there must be consequences for genocidal Zionist imperialism. And those consequences are righteous. These are the Democratic Socialists of America, the far-left activists. And you know what? They're mainstream now. Who's a member of the DSA? AOC, most of the squad members. Here in Seattle, you know who's a member of the DSA? Former Seattle City Council member Tammy Morales, Kashama Sawant, Alexis Mercedes Rink, the council member who was at the protests yesterday alongside Antifa, who was at the protest on Saturday alongside Antifa. This is who the left is. They are the party of violence that thinks any means necessary are justified by the downfall of the U.S., the murder of Jews, whatever else it is. This is the party of violence. And we let ourselves be bullied until yesterday. Am I calling for us to go lift up the bully and throw him against the wall like I did with that kid? Absolutely not. I'm not calling for violence at all. But you know what was amazing about the event yesterday? You had all these people praying and singing so loud that it drowned out the other side. And nobody from the Christian group or the Republicans or anybody who came out to support those groups' First Amendment rights attacked anybody from the Antifa side. It was a peaceful demonstration of love of God that was so loud it drowned out the psychopaths. That's how you win. By saying, we refuse to be bullied. You don't want us in your park? We'll show up again. You don't want us in City Hall? We'll show up again. And it feels like something has moved. I'm not going to say, all of a sudden we're going to get a Republican mayor. That would be crazy. But it feels like the normies have had enough, even here in Seattle, and saying, no, we're not putting up with this nonsense anymore. Because if they can target these Christians, they can target the rest of us. And they have been targeting the rest of us. Do you remember the summer of 2020? You couldn't go anywhere without worrying if your highway or street was going to be shut down by the lunatics if you came in the Seattle area. So, my friends, this is how you push back. This is how you push back, by drowning them out with messages of the righteous, by drowning them out with positive messaging. All they have to do is say, we hate you because you disagree with us. You know what this is an opportunity for? Not new candidates. You're not going to get them, and the filing deadline has already passed. Initiatives, ideas. This is the time to have those discussions, and especially say, Mayor of Seattle, who's he siding with? Antifa. Who are city council members like Alexis Mercedes Rink siding with? DSA, that calls for the murder of Jews. By the way, I sent a request for comment to the Seattle City Council, to her office, to find out if she supports this anti-American, anti-Jewish call for genocide statement. We haven't heard back yet. We'll let you know if we do. This is how you win. I want to know if you agree with me, though. Give me a call or a text, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, you thought Bruce Harrell stepped in it with his dumb statement. Well, one of the other city council members said, hold my Bud Light. I can make this worse for myself. We'll tell you what he did when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Before we get into the politics of what happened this weekend and yesterday, this is a notice from the Seattle Police Department that is very important to bring your attention to. There is a missing teenager named Lily, 13 years old, last seen May 24th. On Martin Luther King Jr. Way South, she was last seen coming out of a Boys and Girls Club wearing a dark gray T-shirt, a white and black high tops. If seen, please call 911. She's been missing for 4 days now. 4 days. This young girl has been missing. Her name is Lily, 13-year-old Asian-looking girl with long black hair, wearing a dark gray T-shirt, white and black high tops. She also has black glasses. If you see her, please call 911. I'm going to actually share this over on social media right now because it has not gotten the attention it should right now, my friends. But yes, we should 100% be promoting this so everybody's on the lookout for this girl because I'm sure her family's worried sick about her. Switching gears for a minute here. So Seattle Mayor, got to get that right. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell. Sorry, I still think of him as the idiot council member. Now he's the idiot mayor. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell has this awful statement where he demonizes everybody at the Christian concert and the police department in response to Antifa attacking the Christian concert on Saturday. Well, then he comes out with an even worse statement, which was, how dare you attack me? I'm the second black mayor and the first biracial mayor, which, thanks, dude. Really? That's not making your case any better. Really not. You know, after things like this, if he hadn't said such dumb things, normally you give a press conference calling for unity and whatever else it is. He can't do that now. He can't do that because any reporter is going to ask him, so you demonized all them Christian folk as opposed to Antifa. So you demonized those police officers as opposed to Antifa. Do you feel bad about those comments? He's just hiding. I put up a graphic I made with AI, with ChatGPT, where it's him lying on the ground and he's surrounded by three bears. One says Antifa. One says the media, or what was it? One says religious observers. One says the FBI. And he's just lying there on the ground going, if I play dead, maybe they'll just go away, which is literally what he's doing. He's been in hiding for days. Well, you would think after these terrible, terrible statements, nobody else would be dumb enough to say anything within orbit of that. Oh, no, my friends. Bob Kettle, Seattle City Council member, who most of you go, who? Exactly. Bob Kettle decides to give this interview with Chris Daniels over at Como News.
You saw what happened over the weekend on Saturday. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is that a couple things. One, we have to protect our LGBTQ plus community here. We also have to protect the rights for those for free speech. But we also have to get down to the bottom of how things transpired. Where's their third actors? What were their roles? How can we make everything safe for protesters and counter-protesters?
Do you think that's clear at this point?
Hang on. Not safe for the police, not safe for people exercising their First Amendment right. None of that. Just how can we make it safe for Antifa is basically what he's saying. Who are these third actors? Oh, you mean Antifa? That's who you're supporting here, Bob? You know what, Mike? We've never had Councilmember Kettle on the show. I think now is an opportune time for me to reach out and see if the good council member will come on the show to clarify his remarks.
I was in court yesterday, and there were just allegations about assault of police officers, but it wasn't necessarily clear what led up to that.
I don't have the details. I know, as the mayor kind of pointed to in his statement.
Whoa. So you don't have the details and you're rambling anyway? You know what it would have been okay to say to Chris Daniels? I'm just finding out about this. It was Memorial Day weekend. I was with my family. I don't have all the details. When I find them, I'll give you a statement. Instead, not only does he give a statement, then say he doesn't have all the details, then he's citing the mayor's bad statement? How'd this guy ever get elected with political instincts like this? How bad were the alternatives?
This point about third actors, as I'm describing it.
So we can't call out the far left activists. We have to blame everything on Antifa. And by the way, if you ask the leftivists, they'll say, oh, there was only a handful of Antifa people there. We happily attacked the stage because we were defending Cal Anderson Park. You dum-dum.
So I don't have the details on that, but that is definitely something that we need to get to the bottom of because it's important in terms of how things transpired on Saturday.
Okay, enough. I can't take any more of this. I just can't. Because this was one of the dumbest things he could have said. You know what the upside is, though? Most people will have no idea he even said it. Because how many people even saw this interview? But this was a dumb interview to give. And there's a reason Como put it out there to be like, hey, here's what the dude said. Put it right up there. It's a shame more people aren't noticing how terrible this statement is. Maybe we need to shine a little bit of a spotlight right on this thing, bat signal style. Share it over on social media a little bit. Give our friend Chris Daniels a few more clicks so he could truly be Click Daniels. We'll help him out with that. Maybe that's what we should do. And these are the people who are running our city. Is it any wonder that things are getting worse around here? I know a lot of people say to me all the time, Ari, things are so much better than they were. Why? Because we're not having riots every single day? Well, summer's just starting, my friends. All right, public poll question time. Do you think we are on the verge of another summer of love? Yes or no? Do you think we're on the verge of another summer of love like in 2020 with the George Floyd riots that rocked the Emerald City? Give me a text or a call, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 because the mayor basically just said, yeah, Antifa was in the right here and those Christians were all kinds of wrong. Do what you do, guys. Go do what you do. No problem whatsoever. Meanwhile, how bad are things around here? While we're busy talking about how wonderful Antifa is, Como News has a story for us.
We begin tonight with Memorial Day weekend violence with 4 shootings in the past 24 hours. Good evening and thank you for joining us for Fox 13 News at 5. I'm Sabir Rafer.
And I'm David Rose. One of the latest shootings happened around 10 o'clock last night at a lowrider car show. Fox 13's Nikki Torres takes us to the Soto neighborhood as police search for whoever pulled the trigger.
According to SPD, this last one happened right around 10 o'clock last evening. Investigators say someone shot a 23-year-old man in his upper thigh. Now, this is the 2400 block on 4th Avenue South. We are just less than 1 mile away from T-Mobile Park. Police say someone shot the man during a lowrider car show. Officers were able to stop the bleeding, and crews then rushed the victim to Harborview Medical Center in serious condition. At last check, he is stable. Investigators say they have not found any evidence or leads on a suspect, and what led up to this shooting, that is still under investigation. This shooting happened just one night after Friday's violent evening in the city. At around 10 p.m. on Friday, someone shot a 16-year-old boy in the abdomen at Seward Park. Now, that boy is stable at Harborview Medical Center at last check. The second shooting from Friday night, that happened a couple hours later around midnight, and this time it happened in a Rainier Beach neighborhood. SPD says 2 friends were shot during an attempted robbery. This was a woman and a man. Police say someone shot the man in the leg and the woman had a bullet graze to her arm. SPD says the victims were inside of a car when the suspect came up to them demanding money. According to investigators, the suspect pistol whipped the woman and then fired at least 1 shot. Crews rushed that man to Harborview Medical Center, and the woman told crews that she did not want medical services. Now, according to police, they have not arrested anyone in either of these 3 shootings. If you have any information that could help them with their investigations, call 911. In Seattle, I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News.
The 4th shooting ended with 2 arrests after it turned into an 8-hour standoff. It happened last night just before midnight. Officers responded to reports of shots fired towards a food delivery driver near 8th Avenue South and South King Street. The delivery driver was not hurt, but their car was damaged by the bullets. The suspects then escaped to an apartment along South Jackson Street. Investigators were out in full force, including Seattle Police's negotiation team, along with K-9 and SWAT. Officers got a search warrant and arrested the suspects, a 41-year-old man and a 34-year-old woman. They also recovered 2 guns believed to be used in the shooting. Both suspects are in the King County Jail.
Yeah, things are so much better around here. It doesn't sound like that after a weekend with that many shootings. Sun's out, guns out, sun's out, Hamas is out, sun's out, Antifa's out, sun's out, everything's out. Everything's out. Oh, wait, Pride Month's coming up. Everything's about to be out all over the town. Everything will be out everywhere. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Tom in Seattle. Tom, what's up, man?
Hey, Ari. So first off, yeah, we're going to have another summer of love because the mayor needs to grow a spine, which he won't, which brings me to my next question. What do you think of the candidate, Joe Mallahan?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have not done a deep dive, and this is on my agenda for tonight. Because basically right now, if the election were held today, you're looking at Bruce Harrell and Katie Wilson. They're going to be the two that advance. However, at this point, I'm so desperate to promote somebody else, I got to do a deep dive. Now, later in the show, we're going to be discussing the other Joe, who I think is the homeless guy. Because, yes, a homeless guy is running for mayor of Seattle. But I need to do a deep dive into all the candidates. So I'll tell you what, Tom. Tomorrow, that will be the agenda for the second segment of the show, Seattle Way. We will do all the candidates. Sound like a plan?
It sounds like a good plan. I met Joe on Monday, and he showed up and was working with We Heart Seattle. Well, we pulled out like 3,200 pounds of trash by the Magnolia Bridge up the Greenbelt.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy. You know,
That's
it's
nice.
funny because a lot of the people there were formerly homeless. And, I mean, he wasn't like, shilling, but Andrea had him talk a little bit, and they're going. So, because he cares about the city.
So I'll tell you what, I'll check him out first, but I'll check out all of them because I know Andrea actually sent me a video of that. I haven't had a chance to watch yet with all the other insanity. But see, look what I just did there, Tom. I said I don't know something rather than give you a statement, and now I don't look like a dum-dum like Bob Kettle, right?
That's why you are so smart, Ari. That's why I listen to you.
Thanks, Tom. That means a lot. Appreciate it. Right. Yeah, appreciate the call. We'll definitely do that tomorrow, my friend. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, Donald Trump's approval ratings are actually going up, and people think the country's on the right track. I like all of this. Maybe not Washington, but the rest of the country. We'll give you the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I'll tell you, nothing's more frustrating than everybody talking about how low gas prices are in the rest of the country, but not here in Washington, thanks to the Democrats. In fact, it looks like consumer confidence is also surging. Wait a minute. Wait, this can't be right. CNBC is reporting this? Hang on. Let me go to my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. Let's see. I got Fox News, Newsmax, Daily Wire, Daily Caller. I do not have CNBC in my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. Let's hear what they have to say.
Yes, and there are some surprises here. This is our May read on consumer confidence from the Conference Board. On the headline number, we're expecting a number somewhere north of 87. Comes in strong, 98.0. That is the best number since February of this year.
Wait. Consumer confidence is... hang on. Wait. Best... Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but it seems like some people think the country's heading on the right track for a minute there. In fact, a poll put out on Monday by Rasmussen using data collected between May 18th and 22nd. That means, was it during the Middle East swing? I think it was right after that. Found that 48% of likely voters said the country is heading in the right direction. An additional 47% said the country was heading in the wrong direction, so as with most things, we're split right down the middle. But at the same time, those are much higher numbers than Joe Biden had, which was down in the low 30s. Are people getting more optimistic about the direction the country is heading in? I'm kind of curious about this. I want to know what you think. Let me know if you think the country's on the right track or the wrong track. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Lou in Linden. Lou, what's going on?
Hey, yeah, I was listening to the news report you were discussing, and they say the suspects in the shootings were driving lowriders, but they don't have any suspects yet in custody. So I was going to recommend that, since Hispanic gangs love lowriders, that they start looking at the Hispanic gangs in the Soto area and South Seattle first, and maybe they'll find somebody. But
well, I think
so typical of it.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I would say is that regardless of what race, nationality, ethnicity, or anything like that is, I would say why don't we look at all the gang activity, because there's tons of gang activity. There's tons of gangs that are selling drugs around here, and it seems like we don't have the specialty units in a lot of the police department that deal with that kind of stuff anymore. So it looks like they're overlooking the entire gang sector, unfortunately, also due to a lack of resources in the Seattle Police Department. So it looks like a lot of that isn't being investigated. So maybe, as opposed to saying one gang or the other, we just say, let's take on the gangs. Lou, appreciate the call, appreciate the perspective. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Gordon in Renton. Gordon, what's up?
Hello, I got a couple things. One, we've got cruise ships coming in, and we've got a lot of people coming in for the soccer, world soccer competition.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen when one of the people who are coming in gets shot?
You don't remember what happened a few years ago when there was a guy who was stabbed coming out of his hotel who came to visit Seattle in the downtown corridor? Look, here's realistically what's going to happen. The same thing that happened during Major League Baseball, the same thing that happened during Taylor Swift. They're going to keep those areas clear, those areas nice. In fact, right now, it kind of seems like they're letting the homeless people be wherever they want, except on the weekends. It seems like during the week, no problem. But when those cruise ships show up, they kick them out of the way. But when we actually hit summer, which is coming up in not too long from now, you're going to see this massive, okay, push everything out to Georgetown, push everything out to Soto, push everything out to the suburbs, get it all out of the downtown core, because that's got to look nice. Just wait. You're going to see it happen, Gordon. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. And for a perspective on the protests, our friend Bennett is joining us now. What's going on, Bennett?
Good afternoon, Ari. Well, I mean, you were talking about people getting arrested at the rally, so I did want to clarify what kind of things they were threatening to arrest people for. When the thing was wrapping up and people were filing up, I went up onto the balcony overlooking the plaza, and I said I wanted to hang a banner over the rally or over the over the balcony that said "Protect Trans Kids," and they were like, "No." SPD said, "You'll be arrested if you do that."
Well, time out. 1 second. Time out. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you for a second. I've just got to clarify something. If they have declared an area a trespass area because they're trying to avoid issues, they can actually do things like that. We can argue the constitutionality of that.
No. This is when it was open to the public afterwards, and so there were still people gathering at the bottom, like
right. But was it still a trespass area? Did they rescind the trespass order?
They said you could be there. They were not asking me to leave, but I had a sign that I wanted to hold over the railing that said "Protect Trans Kids," and they said no. They weren't telling people to leave, and there were plenty of the trans demonstrators up on the.
All right. Well, Bennett, I'll say this: is that. With regards to this kind of stuff, I'm not worried about your banner, even though you and I disagree on certain issues. I'm not worried about that. But, I mean, the things I'm talking about is the people leaving afterwards with, like, the babies and stuff that are being accosted by people, the detransitioners who are being accosted by people. We've seen the video of this, right? We saw that happen, right?
Oh, well, I have the body cam of the thing you're talking about, so I know it actually happened. It was a guy who was walking, he was heading towards the entrance, and then there was like a line of the counter protesters who sort of formed a line on the sidewalk. But it was the guy who carrying the baby who walked up and pressed himself and his baby into that crowd. They did not surround.
Wait, hang on a second. We're talking about different issues there, Bennett. And if you want to send me the video camera, be my guest, because the one I saw, it's a woman holding a baby.
Oh, okay. It did happen with a guy. I'm not sure. I only saw one person holding a baby. I saw it in the video, but okay. There was a widely shared video that I think.
But Bennett, can we agree on this? Can we agree on this? There were violent activists. Can we agree on that?
Oh, and specifically, Jonathan took a tripod and whacked the guy across the arm who was holding a phone videotape. Go to Katie Davis Court's Twitter. She posted the video of this happening. There's a guy standing there not doing anything, just holding his phone, filming Jonathan, and Jonathan takes his tripod. He whacks the guy across the arm.
Did the guy come at him first?
Frame by frame. No, he was standing there, and you can see that he didn't do anything with his hand because the entire video shows where he's holding his phone in midair.
I will go check out the video. I will go check out the video. You are more than welcome to send it to me. Can we agree there were violent leftist activists who got arrested?
I didn't see them do anything that other than like push against barricades and things. That's not violent.
Okay, so you didn't see the video of them throwing a detransitioner against a wall. You didn't see that.
Look, I mean, if they did that and the cops saw them, they get arrested. But
okay.
what the police should do is they should allow people to counter-protest the way.
But
I think
SPD, Bennett, I think SPD did a good job yesterday of keeping everybody separated. It was when people started to leave is when it looked like we had the majority of the problems, and you got to ask yourselves where that violence was coming from, because I didn't see them Christians getting violent. Bennett, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, the Southern Poverty Law Center has declared that Turning Point USA is a hate group. Could these guys be any more of a joke at this point? Really? That's what you're going to do with your time? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. The Southern Poverty Law Center classifies anything they don't like as a hate group these days. I assume that at some point, maybe when they started, they had righteous intentions. Now it's just, well, we don't like it, so they're a hate group. Everybody's a hate group. Their latest target, Turning Point USA. So you don't like them nice Christian kids who are MAGA Republicans, so now they're just a hate group? Well, I attend that hate group every single year because I go to their conference in November every single year. Does this make me a member of the hate group? Wait, we have people from Turning Point USA on our show all the time. Wait, they had a whole bunch of people talking about Israel the last time I was at their wow, they are the worst hate group ever. Are you kidding me? Really? Charlie Kirk and those guys, they're the ones you're calling a hate group? I kind of wonder where you guys put them. Oh, wait, you put them right alongside white nationalist KKK chapters? Hey, did you guys call the Democratic Socialists of America a hate group yet for calling for the deaths of Jews? How about that? Did you do that? Oh, right, a whole bunch of you are members of that organization. You're not actually going to do it. What is this? Trying to get some legitimacy by slapping a stamp on somebody saying, we don't like them, so they're a hate group. Anything I hate is a hate group. Oh, is that the definition we're going with? Insane. Absolutely insane. This is how desperate the left is to win things. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Carrie in Kent. Carrie, I am not ignoring your emails. I just keep forgetting to open them. I apologize. That's my bad.
That's all right. I know where you work.
That's great. Is that a threat, Carrie? Yes. What's going on? Yes.
Threaten you with a good time. I used to work for a national security nonprofit back in Virginia Beach, and they got labeled a hate group because they were teaching people about Sharia law and Orthodox Islam and jihad and, things to look for, and they were supportive of Israel. And so they were labeled a hate group. And what the Southern Poverty Law Hate Center likes to do is they like to designate every single chapter as its own hate group. So they can say, oh, hate has risen by 400% because they're counting each chapter. And so then what they do is they fundraise on that. And so this is really nothing more than a graft, and honestly, I think it might even qualify under the RICO Act because they are raising money on lies.
Well, I think it might be fraud. Because I think it might be defrauding people. I think it might be that. I have to go double check some statutes. But here's the thing. If you say, well, Turning Point USA is a hate group, and then you say, well, every single chapter, including those kids at the University of Washington, they're all a hate group, then you're right. All of a sudden, the numbers go through the roof. ADL and other organizations play the exact same shtick, and I hate it. Carrie, appreciate the call. I will get back to those emails. I promise you, and I apologize again, okay?
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one, Carrie. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. So I'm checking on over at the text line. And it seems like the majority of you think that, yes, America's on the right track, and there is another summer of love coming. So what that tells me when you put those two side by side is that America may be on the right track, but once again, Seattle and Washington State are on the wrong track, and that kind of tracks. Ha! See what I did there? I know, that's a dad joke. I'm sorry. So that's the kind of thing that I think we're going to see, is that as much as we like, and we've said this since the election, since election night, we said what we're going to see is things improve nationally, and we're going to see things degrade locally. In fact, when we come back, my friends, more of your calls, more of your texts, plus now we have some figures on how much Bob Ferguson's massive tax plan is going to cost you and your family. We'll have those numbers for you, plus more of your calls and texts when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, a U.S. citizen is arrested by the Department of Justice and the FBI for attempting to assassinate Donald Trump and blow up the Israeli embassy. But before we discuss any of that, my friends, we go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Beth in Seattle. Beth, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to talk about the rattle in Seattle yesterday.
Yeah.
And what you're asking about standing up to Antifa. You know, I think this is one of the biggest events of standing up to Antifa and those who coddle them, like the mayor, that we've had in years. And I think it's really important. And having the Trump administration, the FBI behind it in terms of standing up for civil rights and for freedom of speech, which we haven't had in Seattle in many years. You know, I know feminists who get assaulted for asserting that men can't be women. It's not safe for a feminist for a woman to assert that in Seattle, and that's just wrong.
I agree with you.
That's just wrong.
I agree with you. Don't you think it's insane, though, Beth? I know where you stand politically. You know where I stand politically. Don't you think it's insane that we're happy about federal intervention, though? That's how bad things have gotten. So you're giggling. You're laughing at me, Beth, but you know I'm right.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's
but,
absolutely
you know,
crazy.
Our constitutional rights are important for a reason, and if one level of government won't stand up for them, it needs to be another one. And, you know, I have to say about this Christian group that, you know, Russell Johnson and Pursuit Northwest that held the event yesterday and invited tons of other people so that it wasn't just them there. I don't go to their church, but it's the same group that stood up for Jews at the University of Washington when it wasn't safe to do so.
You know what put a huge smile on my face?
Pretty courageous.
There were two things that put a huge smile on my face yesterday about the rally. One, the Israeli flags that I saw there, because our Jewish friends showed up to support the same group that showed up to support the Jews at University of Washington. But also they had David, the former IDF soldier who was speaking yesterday. I actually got to find a better video of his speech. There's a few videos floating out there. I want to find one which focuses on him a little bit more. And if you have it, by the way, send me a link, ari@kvi.com, ari@kvi.com, because it's showing, look, relationships between Jews and Christians haven't always been great, but they seem really good right now. And this is a unity movement. This is a coalition building moment. And it's something to keep riding that wave, because a lot of people are going, you know what, I may not be Christian. I may not be Jewish. I may not be Republican. But this is about common sense and psychosis, which is what we're seeing.
Right.
You know, there were some peaceful protesters, but I'm not going to say it was fiery, but mostly peaceful. You know, like Bennett, for example. Bennett, who called the show. You know, I know that he's peaceful when he does that. But we saw the videos of the other things that were happening. And some of the other stuff that happened on Saturday, we saw what happened. It's national news. It's a national disgrace again. I mean, Bruce Harrell made the Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee has a news site called Not the Bee, where they said it's so ridiculous how Bruce Harrell criticized the Christians and not Antifa for what happened on Saturday. He's a national joke at this point.
Yes. You know, the group outside was assaulting everyone who disagrees. And of course, not everyone outside was assaulting, but you were at danger of assault if you disagreed with the group outside. The Antifa, Trantifa, they were assaulting families, they were assaulting reporters, they were assaulting detransitioners.
Yeah. I saw the videos. I saw the videos of what happened. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And the fact that they think, okay, let's just go there and assault people, which is bonkers crazy. That in the 21st century, it's, oh, yeah, let's just go do that on the streets of Seattle. What, that's the norm here? No, that has to be stopped. Beth, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from our friend Transit Joe. Transit Joe, what's up, man?
What's up, Ari, is that we're on the wrong track as a country. And I'm not going to just fall in a default blame Trump in the tariff stuff. I think we're on the wrong track as a country because of all this damn anti-Semitism. I think we're on the wrong track as a country because too many Americans have forgotten what it means to be an American, and that means you have people who just want to gather in outside prayer, and how that's supposedly so harmful as to justify two riots in the same week in Seattle.
Here's something else, Joe. Think about this. If nobody covered it, if nobody had attacked the first one on Saturday, nobody would have paid any attention to the fact that the Christians had their rally, right? Now everybody knows they had their rally. It's national news. It's national news. And you know what, for example, 2 weeks ago, the Hamasniks had a protest in downtown Seattle. It was a Friday and nobody was paying attention and no media outlet covered it. So did it even really happen? Did they get any spotlight on their cause? No. Nobody paid any attention to it whatsoever. If these idiots had ignored the church group rather than attacking them, guess what? Only the people there would have gotten the message. But in what they did, they blew up their messaging. It's all over national news now.
Yes, but we are definitely on the wrong track as a country when we cannot put down, Hamasnik rallies. I mean, these are terrorist breeding grounds, and we should do something about it. Just like we should do something about Alex Zimmerman. But that isn't why we're on the wrong track as a country. That's the wrong track as a state. We're on the wrong track as a country because this garbage seems to keep happening. I mean, I'm a guy of the center left because I have to support transit and some public health care. But this is disgusting. What the hell is going on? I mean,
yeah, dude, it is. I mean, we see this stuff coming from the left all the time. I didn't see any Christians attack anybody at that rally. Joe, appreciate your passion. Appreciate your insight. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's up, man?
Hey, I wanted to let you know, I'm glad you mentioned something about the big, beautiful bill. Well, I got news for somebody, especially you guys. I think you're going to start seeing that even before that bill gets passed, I think that bill is going to be amended on so much that it won't pass by having them, or shall I say the Senate Republicans, put in, pork stuff.
Well, wait a second. Hang on a second here, Leonard. They're not talking about putting in pork stuff. What the Senate Republicans are talking about is putting in more cuts, and I happen to agree with them. Where are the Doge cuts? Where are all these cuts that should have been there in the first place? They're overwhelmingly popular, and yet they're not in the big, beautiful bill. And I'm a little mad about that. I kind of wonder what those congressional Republicans were doing in the House. Appreciate the call, Leonard. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. Go back to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Gordon in Linden. Gordon, what's up?
Okay, I've got a couple little things I want to bring up. One, both Christ and Muhammad were Jews. Number one.
Muhammad was not a Jew. Not a Jew at all. Muhammad was most definitely not a Jew, sir.
Okay. But anyway, what I want to bring up is what the Republicans should campaign on in the upcoming elections, midterms, is if you like shots being fired in the streets and in crowded areas, addressed basically to whom it may concern. If you like your taxes being raised without any choice in it at all, and like if the state of Washington, for Christ's sake, the Republicans said yes, well, we could put out a balanced budget. We don't have to. If you like, just like your tax money being thrown at problems with no idea of where in the hell the money's going or if it's doing any good, I would say in that case, don't vote or don't vote Democrat.
Yeah, I think you're right there, is that this is a huge opportunity for Republicans to say who's making your life more expensive, who's taking away your parental rights, and they should run on that from now till Election Day and stop with the infighting. That is the key to success. Gordon, appreciate you giving them to us. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And like Gordon was talking about, we now have some numbers regarding how much Turd Ferguson's tax increases are going to cost you. So, according to Pasco State Senator Nikki Torres, who's the assistant budget lead for Senate Republicans, she did a whole bunch of math on this, and it comes out to about $2,000 per family. That, by the way, is the conservative estimate. $2,000 per year, I might add. So, They based their projection off Democrats' state tax package, including the legislation which is raising the B&O tax, a sales tax expansion, the Tesla tax, capital gains tax, estate tax reforms, and the bill which kills some tax breaks. According to the Herald, after combining those 5 tax tenets, Senate Republicans looked at the 4-year total and then divided those tax increases by the state population of about 8 million. Each year, the cost to taxpayers would creep up, and by the end of the 4-year cycle, so fiscal year 2029, it would end up costing a family of 4 roughly $2,000 more per year. She says the number doesn't include anything related to the transportation budget, such as the 6-cent gas hike or the Climate Commitment Act. Any of this nonsense that's just going to keep rising gas prices up and up and up and up. Did you notice over Memorial Day weekend and in advance of Memorial Day weekend, all anybody could talk about in the national media was, look how low gas prices are. I filled up today. I almost had a heart attack. Nearly $5 a gallon where I was filling up today. It was crazy. Yes, I was driving the Batmobile today, not my EV. Close to $5 a gallon to fill that sucker up. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Rest of the country, prices are going down. Thanks, Democrats. You know, somebody I saw online made one of those stickers, which is the Joe Biden, I did that, except it's not Joe Biden anymore. Now it's Bob Ferguson on those stickers. In fact, whoever you are who made those stickers, I am happy to order some. Can you please send me an order form, send me a link to buy them? ARI@KVI.com. That's ARI@KVI.com. I for sure want to see those stickers. I really, really do. Washington residents, according to the Herald, are also grappling with rising prices on daily items such as eggs and other groceries. Why do you think that's happening? Because everything gets transported by truck, and their gas prices are going up. The taxes on businesses, we don't know what those are going to affect the families because we don't know how much they're going to roll over onto the consumer, which is probably a lot of it. So now you're going to have this problem where it's just, more. Now the Democrats are estimating it's only going to be $900 per family. You want me to prove to you how I know their math is wrong? Last week it was $700. Now they're saying $900. Is this like Jay Inslee saying, the Climate Commitment Act is only going to be pennies? Pennies, I tell you. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. Also, aren't they the ones that first said it was a $7 billion budget gap, then a $8 billion budget gap, then a $10 billion budget gap, then a 12, then a 14, then a 16, then a, how much do we want to spend? Hey, can somebody tell me how much we want to spend? We need that. So would I trust their math ever? No, of course not. And even so, $900 more per family. You think that's a good thing when you guys spend all that time talking about affordability? And yet, affordability is a huge issue. Let's hit everybody with $900 in taxes, which we know. I think the Republican estimate is wrong. I think it's going to be closer to double that. I truly, truly do. But the Democrats saying, well, our out-of-control spending, we're going to tax your family an extra $900 per year. What are people on Social Security supposed to do? What are people on fixed income supposed to do? What are retirees supposed to do? What are people in low-income brackets supposed to do? To control the Democrats' out-of-control spending on self-service stations and laser hair removal for trans inmates. Don't forget that's the kind of stuff they're spending the money on. They have a whole bunch of new things. We don't even know everything that's in this budget yet because it's so massive, which is my shameless plug to promote Doge Washington. You want to start researching what's in that budget? You send me what you find. ARI@KVI.com. That's ARI@KVI.com. I mean, you got Turd Ferguson claiming he's got all this money for cops, and we've proven many, many times that this $100 million for law enforcement just isn't. And now the mainstream media is realizing it, too. Here's Chris Daniels with a report from Cohen News.
Yeah, Preston, the governor said it over and over during his campaign that he would spend $100 million across the state to hire new cops. And while he did sign a bill authorizing the amount, he admits that it is not the same as his campaign promise.
And so as a governor,
Washington's Governor Bob Ferguson said it before he was elected.
My plan is clear. Put $100 million into my first budget so local jurisdictions can use those resources as hiring bonuses for law enforcement officers or for increased salaries.
I, Bob Ferguson.
He said it at his inauguration, too.
That idea was a cornerstone of my campaign for governor. Any budget I sign must include this funding.
Yet on Monday, Ferguson signed off on a watered-down House Bill 2015 that also allows for a new sales tax to fund it all.
We wanted this piece of legislation to be more than just $100 million for cops. What we wanted it to be was true public safety throughout Washington state.
The bill permits agencies to use the funds for diversion programs, juvenile and community outreach, too. It doesn't necessarily have to be for police officers.
No.
So municipalities could ask you for money without saying it's going to go towards hiring police officers.
That's true.
Monica Alexander, who heads the Criminal Justice Training Commission, will lead the distribution of the grants over the next several months.
It's really somewhat complicated. So the first thing I have to do is hire a couple of staff people to help me with this because it's a big deal.
The Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs in a statement said while we recognize the positive elements of the bill, it is not $100 million for law enforcement.
Right off the top there, what did she say? She needs to hire some staff with the grants. Right away, you have overhead costs, and that's not going to the police officers. Let's hear what the sheriffs have to say.
And hiring, yet a step in the right direction. Ferguson acknowledged this week the bill is not what he originally pitched.
Is it perfect? Of course not. Is it exactly why I would have written it? Of course not. But I believe it's a significant step forward. It'll make a big difference. And we have a lot of work to do.
Alexander told me today this program doesn't really get moving until July 1st. She has to hire a couple of people to start handling those grant applications. And she also told me it is tough to quantify right now just what that money could do in terms of hiring police officers throughout the state. I did ask the Seattle City Council Public Safety Chair Bob Kettle about all of this today. He considered it a positive step, but also said there are no definitive plans right now in Seattle about just how the city may use the money. That's the story for now. Live in Seattle, I'm Chris Daniels, KOMO News.
Should it just go to hiring police officers? Oh, no, it doesn't do that. It goes towards whatever social justice reform nonsense you want it to, which means it's going to double down on failed programs that don't make anybody safer. So it's a $100 million boondoggle that's not going to accomplish anything, and Bob Ferguson admitted it. Oh, then we have another rocket scientist, Bob Kettle, who we discussed earlier in the show, who's also siding with Antifa. And he's the public safety guy for Seattle. How do you think this is going to work out for everybody? It won't. It's going to be more of the same failed policies, and you and I are now paying more money because of it. By the way, you think this is just limited to the state legislature? I said, if they raise these taxes, if they get away with this, local municipalities are going to say the same thing. We have a massive budget gap. What do we do? City council members in Linwood are now trying to figure out how to cover a $3 million shortfall. So do you know what they're planning on doing? They are planning on having expected revenue. Wait, hang on a second. So they're having a shortfall because they're coming in less with expected revenue. You mean taxes are less. So now they probably want to raise them more? Yeah, that sounds about right, because government doesn't create anything. It just takes your money. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Ernie in Puyallup. Ernie, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ari. Yeah, I was listening earlier, and and everybody's saying, what we got to do is we got to vote these people out, et cetera. But here's the problem, and the way I feel is, show me a Republican that's anywhere on the docket that's got a charisma worthwhile with a backbone that's going to fight the way they need to get into office.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. 100%, which is why I shouldn't have to research the candidates who are running for Seattle City Council this hard, because it should be, well, there's our Republican. I don't even think there is one in the race. I have to go double check it. If they are, I don't think they have any viability because I don't know who the hell they are. So there's that. But I would say this, Ernie, if you notice, I haven't said support a candidate. I haven't said support Republicans. That's not what I said. I said you may have a chance with issues. So what have we seen success with until at least the Washington State Supreme Court gets involved or the Democrats get involved is the initiatives. I think that's the key to success. I think you get a groundswell on those things like getting back parental rights, and then you have a chance. I'll give you the last word, though, Ernie.
Well, no, I agree with you. I mean, the initiatives are a big plus, but the other thing is if we don't get somebody into the House or whatever, I mean, they're going to turn around and pull the same crap they just did again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like I said, Seattle's a freaking cesspool. I'm sorry. And look at where it's at. And there's not a Republican that can step up and sit there and say, okay, we got to change this or find somebody that'll stand up. Okay, maybe we'll get beat, but at least go in there battling and do the best you can do with somebody with, that's got the heart and drive to do it instead of just going, okay, and have a real lackluster debate. Just get in there and just, attack.
You want to know how sad things are for the Republicans here in Washington? The last Republican I can remember running for office in Seattle was me, and that was in 2019. I don't even remember who these other guys were. I'm not saying there weren't, but the last one I remember is me. Now, mind you, is that a little self-involved? Perhaps, but none of these guys even stick out to me. Who's running in Seattle? I can't even tell you who's running for Seattle City Council. I can't tell you who's running for mayor because none of these guys have made any impression at all right now. And that's really, really sad and a sad state of affairs. Ernie, I hear your frustration. A lot of our listeners are right there with you. In fact, you want to weigh in on this, give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss. While Harvard is continuing to disobey, complying with federal laws, looks like other Ivy Leagues have learned their lesson and don't want to lose their funding. Will UW also? You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Brandy Cruz from the Undivided Podcast found this Olympia High School teacher who's posting messages including "this teacher kills fascists." And what's even crazier is that this teacher is being defended by the Olympia School District. So this guy's name is Ryan Akiyama. He said that this is absolutely crazy. He might need to put printed on a t-shirt next for all my fellow woke DEI educators still showing up with courage and care. Yes, I'm woke. Yes, I teach DEI. No, I'm not sorry if that triggers the willfully ignorant. Wait, hang on. Wait, what? So this guy is doubling down on his insanity after he has this social media post which says, "This teacher kills fascists?" Really? This is absolutely crazy. And what's even crazier is that the district is standing by this guy who writes something like this. Is a person they allow around students. They said the Olympia School District respects the constitutionality and protected rights of its staff and students, including employees' First Amendment rights to free speech. It's literally a death threat. That's not protected, my friends. As stated in district policy, the First Amendment protects employees' right to express themselves freely, including on personal social media accounts. So how does this guy define fascists? I assume that means Republicans. I assume that means Christians. I assume that means conservatives. So if there's one in his classroom, is he going to kill them? Would you want your kid around this teacher? No, of course not. It's bonkers crazy that these activists are allowed to be in our classrooms. What happened to not knowing how your teacher stood politically? What happened to them just teaching? Just teaching? You know, basic things like civics, maybe a little bit of pre-law, like you can't threaten somebody's life. Just putting that stuff out there. Well, while the Olympia School District is doubling down on this insanity, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, has shut down its DEI office last week, according to the New York Post. MIT President Sally Kornbluth, who managed to survive when a whole bunch of her other Ivy League presidents did not. After they got fired, she's still there, but she learned her lesson. Yep, shut down that DEI. I don't want to be on Capitol Hill anymore justifying this stuff. Shut it down. Shut it down now. And we don't want to lose federal funding. We don't want to be Harvard. Now, it's really crazy to me that Harvard is perfectly fine losing all this federal funding. Now they're going to sue over losing federal funding. Hey, federal funding is not a guarantee, my friends. You know, all you had to do was stop being a bunch of anti-Semites. But instead you said, we are so committed to being anti-Semites, we're going to lose all our funding. When you have the President of the United States weighing in on your insanity, you're in a bad, bad place.
See, look, Harvard has been a disaster. They've taken $5 billion plus. $5 billion. Nobody knew that they were making this cut. If we didn't do this, we would have never found this out, Pam. They're taking $5 billion. And I'd rather see that money go to trade schools. And by the way, they're totally anti-Semitic at Harvard, as you know, and some other colleges, too, in all fairness to them. And it's been exposed, very exposed. And I think they're dealing very badly. Every time they fight, they lose another $250 million. Yesterday, we found another $100 million. And they have, they have a fund, an endowment, $52 billion. All right? They get a lot of that from the United States. And I think it's ridiculous. I think everyone's coming up to me saying, we love the idea of trade schools with that kind of money and money from others, but money from them. You can have the best trade schools anywhere in the world. You give them to Iowa, Indiana, lots of good states, well-run states, and you give them the money. They can only be used for trade schools, and they'll teach people how to build motors and cars and AI.
Yeah, and here's something else, by the way, my friends. So I've got this new EV from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and a warning light came on the other day, something to service in the car, and I don't understand anything about how the EV works. I understand how to drive it, but I'm learning about slowly. If I pop the hood, there's not going to be an engine down there I know somewhat of what I'm doing with. I don't know what to do with it at all. Do you realize that anybody who applies for these jobs to repair these things, to just be plumbers, electricians, any of that kind of stuff, they're going to be the ones who are making bank because so many people don't know how to do it. With regards to EVs, the EV buses we have here in Seattle. A lot of the issues is you have these old school mechanics who don't know how to work on the EVs. The people who learn that technology in the trade schools will be the ones making bank because nobody else knows how to do it. That's why I'm lucky I got my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram who have those experts on staff. In fact, I'm bringing my wife's car over there, which isn't even a Dodge, to be serviced. It's a Chevy. I'm bringing it over there to be serviced tomorrow because it's due for its oil change and everything else. I will not trust anybody else with my business because I know they have the experts. How many times do you post in your online forums? Anybody know a good mechanic? You can't even find a good mechanic around anymore. The people who learn the trades are going to be the ones making the mega bucks. It's not going to be the lawyers, it's not going to be the doctors. It's going to be the people who learn the trades. Shouldn't we have a lot more funding going towards trade schools, especially when everybody's talking about how they need more workers? Abso-flippin-lutely. Absolutely, we should do that. What are these kids learning at Harvard? Lesbian dance theory, underwater basket weaving, theater kids? Oh, that finally worked out for me at the age of 40. I got my own radio show. But let's be real. With the degrees they're getting, a lot of them can't find jobs right now. Send them to trade school. They won't be in debt. And they'll be making more money than you and I will see in our lifetime because we're going to need them more than they need us at this rate. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, a U.S. citizen has been arrested for attempting to bomb the Israeli embassy and assassinate President Trump. Yeah, I bet you didn't hear that story over Memorial Day weekend. We'll have the details for you when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including tickets to see The Offspring, my friends. Yes, that's right, we're giving away that. Plus, we're also giving away movie passes to see Ballerina, the spinoff of John Wick. We're giving away a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and so much more. Yet another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our promotions team. This is probably like one of the most jam-packed prize packs. I blame the holiday weekend or the short holiday week because we didn't have Real Deal on Monday for the holiday. So we got some extra movie tickets and some concert tickets. I'm super excited for this prize
Wait a
pack.
second. I think there's a bonus incentive for Ballerina. Don't we have some potential KVI people going to be at the same advanced screening, Mike?
Well, I don't know about any potential celebrities or whatever, but we're taking the whole crew except for you because you got the day off. But yeah, no, it'll be me and Zach and Mr. KVI. We're gonna roll deep crew, as I like to say.
Awesome.
Now it's gonna be fun.
Now I have FOMO because I'm missing out on this whole thing. So just remember to be tuning in at 5:45 for your chance to win all these fantabulous prizes, including the tickets to The Offspring, the tickets to see Ballerina in advanced screening, and so much more. Well, switching gears, I bet you didn't hear this story over the weekend because it got missed by most of the media. When did this happen? Sunday, I think? A dual U.S.-German citizen has been arrested and charged with attempting to carry out a firebomb attack on the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv in Israel and threatening to assassinate Donald Trump. So, according to Pam Bondi, this defendant is charged with planning a devastating attack targeting our embassy in Israel, threatening death to Americans and President Trump's life. The department will not tolerate such violence and will prosecute this defendant to the fullest extent of the law. Now, here's the crazy thing. They caught him in Israel. The Israelis caught this guy and then shipped him back to the U.S. for trial. Joseph Neumeyer, 28 years old. 28 years old. Do you think, like I've been talking about the whole episode, that this guy may have been a product of the leftist system? We have to dig into his past and his social media. Was taken into custody by FBI agents at JFK International Airport in New York Sunday morning following his deportation from Israel. A federal complaint unsealed in the Eastern District of New York charges Niedermeyer with attempting to destroy a U.S. government facility using fire or explosives. He made his initial appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Peggy Kuo and was ordered held without bail. According to the Justice Department, he arrived in Israel in April. On May 19th, he appeared outside the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv carrying a dark backpack. Surveillance footage and eyewitness reports say that he spat on an embassy guard before fleeing the scene, leaving his backpack behind. Security personnel recovered the bag, which contained 3 makeshift incendiary devices, commonly known as Molotov cocktails. All right, guys, this stuff don't fly in Israel. Maybe in Seattle it does, but not in Israel. You leave a backpack behind in Israel, within 30 seconds, the bomb squad is going to be there closing off the streets. They don't play these games. A search of his social media accounts revealed a post he made earlier in the day stating, "Join me as I burn down the embassy in Tel Aviv. Death to America, death to Americans, and blank the West." Do you guys understand all this yet? I know this audience does, but I'm not sure some of our listeners who disagree with me on a fairly regular basis get this yet. What this is about is a war against the West. It's not about Israel. It's not about Jews. It's not even about America. It's about Western civilization they want to burn to the ground. Look, we know those Europeans don't get it. We know they don't get it at all. They don't believe in freedom. That's why we have our own country these days. But I will tell you, a lot of people don't get that U.S. and Israel are in this fight together. Can you name any other countries that are in this fight? Very, very few. I saw a troubling post on Charlie Kirk's page today. He had a poll up about what you think that the U.S. should do regarding its relationship with Israel if Israel bombs Iran. Now, before you say, oh, we should cut them off or whatever the case may be, and you're welcome to give me a call to argue this with me at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. So if Israel was to bomb Iran right now, it's a golden opportunity which Israel is slowly losing. Why? Don't forget, after that massive strike where Iran sent hundreds of ballistic missiles and kamikaze drones towards Israel, Israel took out all of Iran's defensive measures. So they have a short window before those things are rebuilt and reactivated again. So the time to bomb Iran is right now. Iran stalls for time by negotiating and can hopefully, or according to them, hopefully rebuild their defense systems. We don't want that to happen. Well, right now, the question is, how much longer do we have to wait? Do you know it's been 600 days since October 7th? 600 days. There are still 58 hostages being held by Hamas. We know at least 20 of them are alive. We know that 4 American bodies they're holding hostage, they're dead. So, it's been 600 days. How much longer do we have to wait for negotiations? Do you know how long the Iranian hostage crisis was? 444 days. That means those people have been held by Hamas 160 days longer than the people held in the U.S. Embassy in Iran in the 1970s. How much longer do we have to wait? I'm getting kind of tired of hearing this kind of stuff from Witkoff.
I think that we are on the precipice of sending out a new term sheet that hopefully will be delivered later on today. The president is going to review it. And I have some very good feelings about getting to a long-term resolution, temporary ceasefire, and a long-term resolution, a peaceful resolution of that conflict.
So just to translate that into English, he's going to send out terms for the president to review. They haven't been sent to Hamas yet. They haven't been sent to Israel yet. And maybe something will come of this, even though Hamas has walked away from every deal they've been offered. Why are you optimistic? Why do you think this is going to work? And given that Iran is the hidden hand, not so hidden hand, behind all this kind of stuff, why would Iran give in to any of it? Do you know when Hamas comes to the negotiating table? When we bomb the hell out of them and they think they're going to lose. Same thing with Iran. Right now, they are playing us for time. Remember the movie Top Gun Maverick? They had to attack the nuclear facility of the enemy, who's not Iran at all. Had to attack the enemy before it was online. This is exactly what's happening right now, and we have to do the exact same thing. No more negotiating. It's been 600 days of negotiating. How much more time do those hostages have left? They're literally being held in the worst conditions imaginable. We know by the hostages we've gotten back. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends, including, can we stop with the 51st state nonsense? I'm going to tell you why I've had it with this particular line of entertainment when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, if you want to see this beautiful face but receding hairline, check out our live stream video of the show over on Rumble, Facebook, X, and, of course, over on YouTube. That's right, my friends. Amazing insights on the show, where you can follow my mannerisms and see how angry I'm getting on each story. Check it out right now. Don't forget to subscribe to me on those platforms while you're over there. Can we stop with the 51st state nonsense? I mean, really. It already cost the Conservatives the election in Canada, and things are not going to get better if they are the 51st state. Can we break this down mathematically for a second? So let's just do this. So there are 41.5 million people in Canada. Now, here's how their parliament is made up. Their Liberal Party of Canada, which is more in line with the Hamasniks, by the way, their Liberal Party. They're more in line with the Squad. That's 160 seats, which is the majority of their government. Then you have the Conservative Party, which is more like our blue dog Democrats, if there's any left. Classic liberal Democrats. I know we call them conservatives. They ain't our kind of conservatives. 119 seats. Then Bloc Québécois, which is basically their version of the Squad, which makes our Squad look like nothing, has 35 seats. Their New Democrat Party, which is somewhere around that crazy too, has 24 seats. So you want them to be the first 51st state and never have conservatives win an election ever again. Let's be real. It's not going to be the 51st state. If we were to actually do this insanity, what it would be is probably each province would become its own state. So you want, how many provinces are there? I don't know. I don't care about Canada. How many provinces are there up there? So they're all going to become a new blue state in the United States. How does that work for national elections? What are there, 8, 11, Mike? 10. I knew I was close, somewhere in between. 10 provinces, right? So 10 new blue states. Oh, wait, there's Alberta. You get one red state in that whole mess. You think British Columbia or Quebec are going to be on our side? You think the French are going to be on our side? They only turn to us when they need to fight a war. Speaking of fighting a war, why am I even mentioning this? Because Donald Trump has said that Canada is considering an offer to become the 51st state in order to avoid paying billions of dollars to be protected by the Trump administration's installation of the Golden Dome. If Canada remains separate, the nation will have to pay $61 billion to be protected by the defense system. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that will cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer. You know what that really means? They're considering paying the $61 billion is what we're realistically talking about here. You know what's funny to me about this is literally the plot of a Clive Cussler book. Which was it? Night Probe. Night Probe. There was a discussion about merging Canada and the U.S. and it became the United States of Canada, and then they never addressed it ever again in any other book. That book came out in what? The late 80s, early 90s, something like that? We've had a lot more Clive Cussler books since then. In fact, he's dead now, and his son, Dirk Cussler, is writing the books. Not as well, I might add, but I buy them anyway. And I still never hear about the United States of Canada. So... Can we stop with this? This is not going to end well for our way of thinking. It really won't. Now, mind you, the Golden Dome protecting North America is a really good idea. I agree with that. You know what FDR said, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you don't haggle over the price of the garden hose. Well, the house isn't on fire, and we can haggle over the price of the garden hose because right now he just wants to protect his house just in case. But where do we have threats coming from? You think if there's nuclear fallout in Vancouver, it's not going to affect us? Do you remember the Fukushima nuclear reactor disaster because of the earthquake and the tsunami and all that fun over in Japan? I remember the helicopters flying over Seattle with these sensory devices on them. I remember seeing those suckers. What do you think they were looking for? Nuclear radiation if it was coming to our shores. What do you think would happen if a nuclear bomb detonated in Vancouver, British Columbia? What do you think would happen if they went after anywhere in Canada? Yes, that is something we should work out a deal. And I'm not saying they shouldn't pay for it, But can we stop with this 51st state stuff? Because at this point, you're literally saying, yeah, we want to be taken over by the Democrats and never win an election ever again. You disagree with me on this. I mean, it's funny. It's funny. Don't get me wrong. I love making fun of Canadians as much as anybody else does. I love those jokes in How I Met Your Mother about how all Canadians are afraid of the dark. I know it's not true, but it's still kind of funny. I love making fun of Canadians. But at the same time, we don't want 9 more blue states for our electoral college. You agree with me? You disagree with me? Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, the latest on the insanity here in Seattle. Looks like Seattle has made the national news yet again, and it's never for a good reason. We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and on the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including tickets to The Offspring, tickets to see Ballerina, and of course, Daniel Brohl, a gift card, and so much more. But before we get to any of that, I am beyond furious, and Mike watched it happen in real time during the commercial break. So the Seattle Times, throughout this whole thing that has happened with Antifa attacking Christians at a worship concert in Cal Anderson Park on Saturday, and then the protest yesterday where Christians were calling for the resignation or apology from Bruce Harrell after he issued a statement throwing Seattle police under the bus and demonizing the Christians but excusing the behavior of Antifa, the Seattle Times, both times they did that story, has written their usual far-right extremists, called them all the names in the book, picked up the narrative, the quotes from Antifa. What they said about these people, how dare you be in an LGBT, that's what they published to demonize the Christians. And here comes the Seattle Times editorial board to talk about how wrong that was and how our elected officials should do better. Spare me your nonsense. I am tired of the gaslighting. Every time the Seattle Times editorial board writes something that agrees with us, everybody goes, see, the editorial board is conservative. They're Republican. They're more moderate. Shut up. They are not. You want me to prove to you how they're not? What does editorial board mean? The people who are the editors of the paper. Who assigned these other stories? Who signed off on the headlines of these other stories? Who signed off on the narrative of these other stories? Who signs off on everything else? So they write one editorial saying that doing that was bad. In fact, they don't even apologize for it. They're taking it all out on the elected officials. Have you seen a single retraction of any of their insane headlines? No. I'm going to read this so you can see the hypocrisy. And I'm going to say, cancel your subscriptions right now. Here's what they write. Wait, let's go up to the headline first. Where's the actual headline here? Free speech must come first, even as tensions flare in Seattle. Oh, really? Weren't you guys the ones who were going after the pastor? Wasn't that you guys? What, wasn't that you guys? I mean, just making sure I got that right. First Amendment has a lot of things in it. Freedom of religion's one of them. Spare me. All right. Here's what they wrote. Come on, Seattle. Oh, so cool and so hip. Let's not get all Portland over provocative protests. Wait. Do you guys not realize we're the same as Portland? We're literally the same. We let Antifa run our city, too. For years, the Rose City was beset by rallies and counter-rallies that hiked up the ire and left residents pining for quieter days. Did we not have the same thing, you dummy heads? Now the Emerald City is once again facing tensions in the street. Over the weekend, a Christian anti-abortion group, Mayday USA, they can't even help themselves. They can't even help themselves. They can't just write a Christian group, right? How come it's always on the left? It's always protesters, not Antifa. It's always protesters, not violent activists, not left-wing activists. But on the right, they always got to put in a qualifier. This Christian anti-abortion group, Mayday USA, held a rally at Cal Anderson Park for people to stand together for biblical truth and values. It was met by vigorous counter-protest. That's what you call Antifa assaulting people? Vigorous counter-protest? With people waving transgender pride flags and signs denouncing the Trump fascist regime. Oh, right. Didn't they call all the Christians fascists in one of their earlier headlines? Yeah, pretty sure they did. Seattle police made 23 arrests on various allegations. You can't just say they did it for assaulting police officers. There's already been the hearings on those. On Tuesday, 8 more people were arrested in front of Seattle City Hall when the same sides squared off again. Violence should never be tolerated. You guys are literally excusing it on one side and blaming another, even in this op-ed. But free speech, no matter how odious, must be protected. You know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to see how many times the Seattle Times actually called out the Biden administration for targeting parents for being mad about what was being taught in the classrooms? How many times they called out the Obama administration for targeting 501c3s they didn't like because they were religious or because they were Republican? What do you think I'm going to find? 0 articles that they ripped off from the Washington Post or the New York Times or the AP? The city's elected officials seem wobbly on that fundamental right. Who do they start with? I assume they're starting with the mayor, right? Shouldn't you guys start with the mayor? That's the one who has all the headlines. No, who do they go with? Bob Kettle, who we discussed earlier in the show. You went to Bob Kettle first? You know what I would have done first? Where's Bob Ferguson? Where is Bob Ferguson weighing in on any of this? He is MIA, just like he was during the Summer of Love, when they were advocating to defund the police, when city councils like Seattle were actually defunding the police, and Bob Ferguson was the top cop as Attorney General in Washington and was nowhere to be found. As we just discussed earlier in the show, Bob Ferguson now signs this $100 million bill, which he claims is going to recruit more police officers, but then admits it's not going to recruit more police officers. So he doesn't want to get involved in this. So they're going after Bob Kettle, who told Como that the city should not have granted a permit to Mayday USA to hold an event at Cal Anderson Park. Councilmember Alexis Mercedes Rink said, while I respect First Amendment rights, we must also acknowledge the harm caused when hate groups are able to invade spaces meant to celebrate our community's vulnerable populations and lift up their contributions to the city. Shouldn't you start with the mayor's office with his dumb statements? No, instead you guys are starting with his most recent one. Callie Craighead, spokesperson for Mayor Bruce Harrell, said the U.S. Constitution requires the city to grant a permit if space allows, but Harrell has said he wants to understand whether there were locations other than Cal Anderson Park available. Just leave out the whole attack on the religious people, which is also in that First Amendment. The Seattle Times says, perhaps it is time for a free speech primer. Oh, does it now? Oh, do you now? Can I have the entire Seattle Times editorial board for 5 minutes to educate them on why nobody reads their paper anymore? By the way, that's free speech. You want to exercise your free speech rights? Unsubscribe from the Seattle Times and their hypocritical garbage. In fact, if you send me a screenshot of you unsubscribing from the Seattle Times, I'll share it on social media today. We'll put it up. Send it to ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. The value of protecting speech doesn't derive from ideas with which you agree. On the contrary, the First Amendment defends expression in all forms. Think neo-Nazi parades in Jewish neighborhoods or offensive messages held up at funerals for fallen service members. Hang on a second, Mike. The Seattle Times, how long did it take them to cover the Macklemore story of when you literally had a modern-day Nazi parade / fundraiser in a Jewish neighborhood here in Seattle? Took them days. They were the last ones to cover it. The last ones. Oh, give me a break. Municipalities must maintain a fair process for permitting public events and make reasonable accommodations. Yeah, by the way, I wonder if that person at Seattle Parks still has their job, because now that you've got Kettle, Rink, and Harrell all blaming Parks Department, they're going to make a scapegoat out of this person. I don't even care what their politics are. That's what they're going to do because they did their job and booked an event. Once we allow government officials to start defining what's acceptable free speech, we give up something precious that cannot easily be regained. Oh! You mean like you guys with the COVID insanity? Do you remember how you demonized anybody who spoke out against the vaccine? Anybody. Do you remember everybody you demonized during the Summer of Love? Do you guys remember any of this? As for the protest-counter-protest dynamic, sometimes it's best to allow a minority voice to be heard and ignored. One way to make sure that provocative groups don't line up to get into Cal Anderson Park or anywhere else in the city is to make sure these events end up being the one thing that organizers fear most: boring. All right, that's the best they got. That's really it. This is the editorial. You guys, you know why I think they did this? I'm going to tell you why I think they did this. Not because they had a sudden moment of a crisis of conscience. I think they lost a bunch of subscribers this week. I think a lot of people were mad that they used the term fascist to describe the Christians, far-right extremists. And I bet a bunch of you unsubscribed. You know why? Because there's better outlets that did a better job covering all of this. This is from Not the Bee. If you're not familiar with Not the Bee, it is the Babylon Bee, the satire news site's real news site, where stories are too crazy to believe they're actually real. And guess who made an article this week? Our very own Seattle Mayor, Bruce Harrell. Headline: Seattle Mayor condemns Christians after their worship service gets attacked by Antifa. This is written by Joel Abbott, and he says, I wish this was satire. And he shares Katie Daviscourt from the Post Millennials post, Seattle PD arrested 23 violent Antifa thugs who attacked a Christian worship event in the Cal Anderson Park, the former deadly Chaz zone. Antifa assaulted police and Christians on Saturday. Seattle Mayor Harrell issued a statement condemning the Christians. Joel writes, like I said, not satire. Seattle's mayor was very angry that Christians have been given the right to pray in a public space. Then he shares, and he know. Mayor of Seattle Bruce Harrell released a statement written by Jamie Howson, his director of communication, condemning the Christians for holding a worship event at a public park in the city. The event was violently attacked by Antifa and Trans-Tifa. The mayor says he is directing an investigation into how Christians were given approval to worship at the park. He suggests they should have been banned from that location. Joel writes, again, not satire. This is the official statement, where he refers to Christians who believe in basic Christian teachings about human sexuality as taught for thousands of years as extreme right-wing. He says, here's more of the left-wing violence. He shares a video. Notice how the Christians were busy dancing in worship before the Antifa thugs decided to get violent. That's right, violent left-wing activists attacked Christians at a worship service and hurt the cops who stopped them. Several officers were reportedly sent to the hospital for treatment. But Seattle's mayor is angry with the Christians. That's beyond crazy. They also quote the Mayday USA's website. Friend, if we don't stand up in the public square now, our nation will fall. To every mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, young adult, and child, we are calling on you to arise. Join us in 5 major cities across America as we cry Mayday. An urgent movement knocks on the doors of our lives. As we go to the streets, we will stand for our children, restore the family unit, and proclaim the gospel of Jesus. In double-bolded giant font, the Babylon Bee, not the Bee, writes, extreme right-wing, folks. That's better coverage than the entire Seattle Times has done in 3 articles and an editorial. That is better coverage with 4 tweets and 4 sentences. That's not the Bee. Better than Seattle Times. Go and give the Not the Bee a follow over on social media, because the Seattle Times does not deserve your money. Here, I'll make you a deal. I don't subscribe to the Seattle Times. I've got the internet database. But I'll tell you what, if there's anything interesting in the Seattle Times, I'll mention it here on the show, so you don't have to have FOMO about missing out. Have I ever missed an opportunity to rip the Seattle Times for their coverage? Or, in the very rare instances they have good coverage, praise them, which, by the way, are fewer and fewer and fewer and further and further and further far between. So, I promise that for you. Go and unsubscribe from the Seattle Times right now. Plus, you're going to need the money for gas. Do you know how expensive it is in the state, thanks to Turd Ferguson and the Democrats? It's not getting any better. Well, all this insanity has attracted the attention of the White House. In fact, right now, I see that Seattle is being mentioned in prime time. It's being mentioned on all the news outlets. Why? Because it's insane that the mayor backed Antifa over the Christians. Beyond crazy. The White House Faith Office has condemned the Antifa attack on the Christian event. It urged Seattle officials to protect religious freedom. The FBI is now investigating all this insanity. Dan Bongino made an announcement yesterday about this, and he's right. It shouldn't be, oh, well, you shouldn't have been in that park. What was the activist's excuse yesterday? So yesterday, the Christians were so mad about what Bruce Harrell said that they rallied on the steps of Seattle City Hall demanding an apology or the resignation of Bruce Harrell. Hey, by the way, has anybody done a wellness check on Bruce Harrell? We haven't seen him in a few days now. Is he hiding out in Bellevue or something? Where does he go? Because we haven't seen him in a while now. We just keep getting these statements through spokespeople. Do you think he's gold fishing? You know what gold fishing is? Gold fishing is when you just like hide and assume nobody's going to remember this in a few days and you're just waiting it out. Dude, you're the mayor of Seattle. This shows cowardice. I made a graphic using ChatGPT AI, of Bruce Harrell lying on the ground in his suit, playing dead while 3 bears are over him. And 1 bear says Antifa, 1 bear says the religious community, and 1 bear says the FBI. And the thought bubble says, if I play dead, maybe they'll all just go away. That's literally what's happening with Bruce Harrell right now, the coward that he is. Come out and take responsibility for your staff. At minimum say, They don't speak for me. We're going to reevaluate how we do statements in the mayor's office. If you want to throw your staff under the bus. Or come on out and say, I was wrong. I shouldn't have demonized the Christians and emboldened Antifa. And here's something else. The original statement was so badly written, you should fire your communications director anyway, because that thing was a mess, an absolute mess. Who writes? Oh, right, left-wing people write garbage like that. That's what it was. It was absolutely terrible. So now you've got the FBI, you've got the White House, you've got the entire Trump administration, and you're the top story on all the news outlets because of your stupidity. Well done, Bruce. So what's your guess? How many points do you think he lost in this race? Because let's do the political analysis of this for a minute. Yesterday's optics were huge. You have a whole bunch of Christians rallying on the steps of City Hall, peacefully praying and singing, while Antifa attacks them while they're on their way out. That's what makes the viral headlines. And why are they there? Because the mayor backed Antifa over the Christians. And what are the Christians doing? Praying. What are the Christians doing? Holding up American flags, Israeli flags. Such horrible behavior. Bruce Harrell's on the wrong side of this. No wonder he's in hiding right now. So, what Bruce Harrell was counting on for the Seattle election was he figures that conservatives, Republicans, moderate Democrats are going to say, you know what? Katie Wilson or whoever the left psycho is this time is going to be infinitely worse. We're going to hold our nose and vote for Bruce Harrell. I'm not sure they're going to do that anymore. I don't think they are. And I think in a failed attempt to get the far left, he just sacrificed any moderate support he had. Tell you what, we'll open up the phone lines. We'll open up the text lines, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. If you previously voted for Bruce Harrell and don't plan on voting for him this time, I want to hear from you. If you I promise I won't make fun of you either. I promise. That's a key caveat. If you voted for him last time and will still vote for him this time, I might make a little fun of you, but I want to hear from either of you. I want to hear from anybody in those categories. 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Because I don't think that Bruce Harrell survives this politically. I bet you what he's counting on is voters have a short memory, and we're going to come into the summer in the primary season. They're going to look at the options and forget all of this. I will tell my conservative friends. I will tell my moderate friends. I will tell my common sense friends. Now is the moment to keep up the pressure. Keep up the pressure. This is a change moment. You run on common sense. You run on common values. You run on the Constitution. And I'll tell you something. I think you're going to see some gains. Here's something else. Anybody running in any other part of the state should be running on, we don't want to be Seattle. We don't want to be that. And guess what? You'll see some gains as well. Give us a call or a text, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, ICE is on a tear, arresting people even in Nantucket, even in Martha's Vineyard. Whoa, we haven't done that since Ron DeSantis. We'll give you all details when we come back, but first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on the Ari Hoffman Show. I haven't heard this much Offspring since the 90s. And why is Mike playing all this Offspring? Because guess what? Coming up at 5:45, my friends, we are giving away fantabulous prizes, including two tickets to see the Offspring in concert. We're also giving away tickets to an advanced screening of the John Wick spinoff Ballerina, plus so much more. Yet another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe to us on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. You know what this is making me realize, Mike? It has been forever since I listened to The Offspring. I mean, I remember, so let me date myself a little bit.
Sure.
I saw The Offspring before they were big at CBGB's. I don't think CBGB's is there anymore either, but a friend of mine said, hey, I got tickets to this band. You want to go? And we went to see The Offspring. And then wouldn't you know, they were big shortly thereafter. And I'm like, oh, I remember those guys. That was the advantage of living in New York, these random bands. I mean, you get that in Seattle too, but these random bands would be performing. You could go see them, and then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, they're huge. And I saw The Offspring that way. I've always enjoyed The Offspring. I wouldn't say I add them to a playlist necessarily. I would say when they come on, I stay. That's my assessment of The Offspring. I know some other people, my brother, hardcore into The Offspring.
Oh, really?
Oh, he loves that stuff.
Oh, see, I think I'm paired off with the wrong Hoffman. Jeez.
I have noticed from time to time, my brother and I are very, very similar, but there are some slight differences. And I've noticed from time to time, you fill that gap in my life when I don't see my brother very, very well, because you're my brother on the radio, my friend.
That's nice. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, you got it.
But it's very exciting though. With we'll talk about this when we do our good news giveaway. But like they're doing like this really cool promotion where like concerts are like $30 and stuff. For a variety of different venues. There's I believe info available at the KVI website on KVI.com. But yeah, man, I mean, summer concert season is coming.
Oh yeah, and here's the other thing. I mean, Mike and Kevin made so much fun of me. I bring this up anytime I can because I really get made fun of this a lot, and I deserve it. So I had gone to see a Pink Floyd cover band, which was amazing. This Australian Pink Floyd cover band at Chateau Saint Michel, and I had never heard of the place before. So I come here. And I'm trying to describe where I saw this. And I'm like, it's this outdoor venue, with like wine and stuff. And they look at me and they go, you mean Chateau Saint Michel? God, Hoffman, you're such a New Yorker sometimes. That place has been there forever. In fact, they're so successful. Didn't a few of the Remlinger Farms and other places add their own outdoor concert venues specifically just to be like Chateau Saint Michel?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Remlinger Farms and one other place that did that. And I'm thinking, Remlinger Farms? You mean where there's like the little kiddie rides that I used to take my kids to all the time? That place is having the outdoor concerts? But yeah, I do love concert season here in the Pacific Northwest. I really do. You get some great bands coming through. A lot of my bands are unfortunately on their farewell tours or their retirement tours. Bon Jovi never rescheduled that tour after COVID. That was it. No more Bon Jovi. I had tickets to that concert. No more Bon Jovi. Anyway, no more illegal immigrants either. So the Trump administration has arrested 12 illegal immigrants in Nantucket, including an MS-13 gang member, a convicted child sex offender, which when you're talking about Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard and everything up there in Massachusetts where the elites live, I think to myself, who was in that group of illegal immigrants that Ron DeSantis sent to Martha's Vineyard? You remember that fun? When he loaded up an airplane and sent them to Martha's Vineyard? And the Martha's Vineyard people are like, we want to take all the illegal immigrants. Oh, wait, they actually showed up? Quick, get them out of here. What were they out of there within 48 hours? Within 48 hours. And all them waving like, bye, come again, see you soon, bye. Get out of our town. Man, if that wasn't liberal hypocrisy right there on display. Progressive hypocrisy, I should say, not liberal hypocrisy. Tuesday morning, federal immigration authorities led by ICE and supported by the FBI, DEA, and ATF and Coast Guard swept through Nantucket, Massachusetts, detaining and deporting at least 12 individuals illegally residing in the country. The operation was part of a larger federal sweep that also included Martha's Vineyard and Hyannis, resulting in 40 total arrests. According to ICE, among those apprehended were known MS-13 gang members and at least one convicted child sex offender. They also conducted vehicle road stops across Mid-Island, including Old South Road, Surfside Road, and other locations. You know who wants to stop this? AOC. AOC wants to stop this. No joke. In fact, the White House did a whole press release on this, given how ridiculous it was that AOC said. Here's what they wrote. While President Donald J. Trump, his administration, the heroes of ICE work overtime to rid our country, of criminal illegal immigrant killers, rapists, and gangbangers, top Democrats are doubling down on their call to eliminate the agency responsible for getting these animals off our streets. Quote, this is from AOC. I believe that ICE, an agency that was just formed in 2003 during the Patriot Act era, is a rogue agency that should not exist, says AOC, the leader of the Democrat Party, they call her. Where's the Congresswoman's concerns for her fellow New Yorkers who have been brutally killed, maimed, and raped by criminal illegal immigrants allowed to roam free due to New York's so-called sanctuary policies? Here's a tiny sample of the criminal illegal immigrants arrested by ICE in New York recently. Julian Lema Bravo, an Ecuadorian national with a conviction for rape of a victim less than 15 years old. Luis Alejandro Castillo Torres, a Venezuelan national and Tren de Aragua gang member with a conviction for felony assault, assaults for multiple counts of assault, robbery, and criminal possession of a weapon. Kervin Broderick Davis, a Jamaican national and registered sex offender with a conviction for first-degree sexual assault. Tanya Campbell, a Jamaican national with a conviction for first-degree manslaughter. Sayanam Gimayer, a Nepali national with a conviction for first-degree attempted sex abuse of a victim under 13. Litsi Janelle Saverda, a Mexican national with a conviction for felony rape. Surjit Singh, an Indian national with a conviction for third-degree assault with intent to cause physical injury. He was ordered removed by a judge in 2007. Jonathan Cortez Vasquez, a Salvadoran national with convictions for criminal contempt, acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 years old and attempted possession of a forged instrument. Roxana Ophelia Pinto Quijada, a Venezuelan national with a conviction for grand theft. This is who AOC and the Democrats want to keep in the U.S. Do you know how well these deportations are going? The U.S. Border Patrol announced on Sunday that San Diego Migrant Processing Center has been dismantled, citing a massive decrease in illegal crossings since President Trump re-entered the White House in January. According to the federal agency, the average daily arrests in San Diego sector for the month of March decreased by 186% compared to the year prior. As a result, the 1,000-person taxpayer-funded facility is no longer needed. Officials attributed the decrease in unlawful crossings to new enforcement measures enacted by the Trump administration, which have included deploying U.S. troops to the southern border and authorizing Border Patrol personnel to enforce the nation's immigration laws, something that was prohibited under the Biden administration. This from Acting Chief Patrol Agent Jeffrey Stalnaker. He wrote, due to the unprecedented decrease in illegal crossings this year, the massive 1,000-person San Diego sector soft-sided facility has been dismantled. I mean, guys, that's how well this is going. Do you remember all the hundreds of thousands of people you saw crowding the border? Do you remember the drone footage that the Biden administration had the FAA ban drones so Fox News and others couldn't cover this? Now we're closing down facilities because word is out. I think I saw that illegal border jumper apprehensions was 30 yesterday. 30. We were talking about 5,000, 6,000 a day coming across, and now we're seeing 30? Yeah, turns out we didn't need a new bill. Turns out all we needed was a new president. When we come back, my friends, Kamala Harris for governor of California. Are the Democrats delusional? We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. So they are still talking about Kamala Harris possibly running for governor in California. And Republicans really want it to happen. According to Politico, the California Republican Party would gain some tactical benefits, such as energizing donors as well as the Republican base in California. Quote, I think it could attract some donors from around the country who might be interested in taking another pound of flesh, says Republican political consultant Dave Gillard. He also said he's not working for any gubernatorial candidates in the race. He says money is the biggest obstacle other than registration because the donor world doesn't think a Republican can be elected governor anymore. In addition, some Republicans have promised that they would make their own run for the office should Harris run for governor. Rick Grinnell, Trump ally from Southern California, said he would consider it. Grinnell would be able to tap into the base of support around president. Republican Caitlyn Jenner, I think that's not going to do for you guys what you think it's going to do. Just putting that out there for a second. Harris said she will decide to run by the end of the summer. However, the GOP is looking to take hits on Harris before she officially announces a potential run. Pundit Steve Hilton, as well as Riverside Sheriff Chad Bianco, have both started campaigns centering around failed Democrats with Harris as a focus. Although California is a deep blue state, Harris's performance was worse than Biden, as Trump flipped multiple California swing districts during the election. As Harris is still deciding on whether or not to run, other Democrats have thrown their hats in the ring. As Governor Gavin Newsom cannot run for another term, these include former Representative Katie Porter. Oh, my God. Javier Becerra? This is who your candidates are? Really? Republicans, get some good people in there because then you have a shot. You know how bad things are? Miley Cyrus. Okay, we don't talk about Miley Cyrus here on the show. We don't like Miley Cyrus, but she recently detailed how a music video shoot on the Hollywood Walk of Fame led to her hospitalization. So I'm thinking, did she get stabbed or something? Like, what happened? It's disgusting there, by the way, disgusting. She said she filmed her Something Beautiful visual album and then landed in the ICU. She said, I filmed this video in October. By November at Thanksgiving, I was put in the ICU for a moment, just a moment, she said, on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The Wrecking Ball singer, according to Fox News, shared she had been rolling around on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for her music video. Okay, that's not good for anybody. By the way, there's some dude who works with the homeless down in Los Angeles who has actually lost a leg because of the disgusting parasites and whatever else it is you pick up from the streets there because it's so disgusting. She said, I caught something. My leg began to disintegrate around the kneecap area. And then the doctor says, do you know why you would have such a brutal infection on your kneecap? Cyrus pointed out the fact that her doctor had probably seen the worst in a hospital. However, she said the surgeon was completely grossed out by her infection. I had to tell him, she said, to have a surgeon look at you and say, yuck. They open up cadavers. They see the inside guts of humans and they're looking at me, telling me disgusting, and they do brain operations. I mean, it is Miley Cyrus, so make all the jokes you want here. She continued to explain how she shot her music video on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in the middle of the night to avoid paying a costly rental fee. Well, you get what you pay for. She said, I had a big dream and a small budget. Well, I had a pretty good budget, but I spent it all on my clothes. Have you ever been to the Walk of Fame in the middle of the night? I thought it was my last day on Earth. Well, yeah, and you're rolling around on the pavement? Are you kidding me? Ugh, disgusting. Not very bright, though. So she said she had a medical emergency. Guys, some common sense here. You're rolling around. I know you've licked everything and wrecking balled everything or whatever else you've done, but some common sense here? Yes, California is so disgusting you can get infections from the street. It is that bad. Speaking of California celebrities, I did see this article and I got mad about the clickbait. We haven't really discussed the Diddy trial at all. We haven't really gotten excited about that. But they have this headline which totally sucked me in. Usher, Obama, name-dropped in Diddy's trial as sex trafficking case heats up. Now, Obama! Exactly. I said, wait, they just mentioned a political guy? Hang on. Let's go see what they're talking about over here. Obama! Yeah. So what'd they talk about? All right. Obama. Here's what they say. Sean Diddy Combs, former assistant, testified that the rapper typically carried 25 to 30 undisclosed pill bottles. I'm like, and Obama used them on somebody, right? Right? No, that's not what it was. It turns out they were ecstasy, and he described them as in the shape of former President Obama's face. So he had nothing to do with this whatsoever. Diddy just had some weird pills he bought. Usher, all right, give it to me. What did he do? Said we were having a private conversation. We were all sitting, eating at tables together. When we say, We, I mean some bad boys, some of our other labels, some celebrity friends in the room, and they were secretly arguing. Okay. And then Usher, they were discussing Usher. Usher wasn't even there. Usher came by later. This is complete clickbait. And it really, really upset me, by the way, because I'm like, give me the goods. Oh, Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. Did Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy kill Biggie? No, they were just talking about him in a room somewhere. By the way, I'm more convinced than ever, and I never followed this stuff at the time. I am more convinced than ever that Puff Daddy had Notorious B.I.G. killed. I'm convinced of it. At this point, P. Diddy can do no right. He's guilty in my mind. He hasn't been found guilty in court yet. But would it surprise anybody to find out that he killed Biggie at this point? Yeah, I don't know. All the stuff coming out of this trial, not really my jam, and is really disgusting, so it actually makes me change the channel. I will tell you something that I was heartened to see, though. Kevin emailed me, and he said that he has just canceled his Seattle Times subscription. That's right, Kevin. You have done the right thing. You have come over to our side by canceling your Seattle Times subscription, and we are officially knighting you as one of the members of Ari's army. You know what we need, Mike? We need a shotgun sound or something for Big Mike Militia. So anytime somebody joins the militia, we got to have some kind of gun sound for them or something.
Please, we're well regulated.
Okay, so
no shotguns required.
No shotguns required. We need something for that. But Kevin, we want to call you out and say thank you so much for canceling your Seattle Times subscription. And if you want to hear your name said on air, you just got to let us know that you canceled your Seattle Times subscription and actually cancel the subscription, people. Thank you to Kevin. Hope you enjoyed that little fun there. Only more good news to wrap up the show. Your good news giveaway, your good news headlines, your chance to win Offspring tickets. Tickets to an advanced screening of Ballerina, a $50 gift card to Daniel's Broiler, plus so much more. And our good news headlines. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news giveaway, which is loaded with amazing prizes this week, we have our good news headlines. And because we were just talking about Massachusetts and Martha's Vineyard, according to WKRC, an endurance athlete was on the brink of completing a historic 62-mile swim around Martha's Vineyard on Monday, aiming to become the first person to achieve this feat. Well, it's Wednesday. I wonder if he actually finished it in the meantime. Lewis Pugh, 55, embarked on this multi-day swim on May 15th, braving the 47-degree waters to raise awareness about the plight of sharks as the 50th anniversary of the film Jaws approaches. Well, if they don't bite anybody, they'll be fine. It's when you start attacking all the nice people in that town that then all of a sudden the sheriff has to get his drunken friends on a boat and go blow you up with an oxygen container. I'm sorry. Are these spoilers? The movie's 50 years old, right? We all know how it ends. Pugh says he hopes to alter public perceptions of sharks, which he believes were unfairly portrayed as villains and cold-blooded killers in the iconic film. Okay, I saw this overhead drone footage of all these people swimming above sharks in Florida and not knowing they're there. But how many times do we hear that the shark thought the surfboard was something it should eat, or the surfer, or something else? If they don't want to be treated as cold, vicious killers, stop killing people. It was a film about sharks attacking humans. And for 50 years, we've been attacking sharks. It's completely unsustainable. It's madness. We need to respect them. Okay, dude, yes, respect them as the killers they are, and don't swim in shark-infested waters. Also, here's something else. Shark Week. I'm not a fan, but I know some people love the Shark Week, and they love watching them because they're cold-blooded, vicious killers, right? Why do we like them Jurassic Park movies sometimes? Because you get to see them eat things, right? If it wasn't fun, we wouldn't watch Shark Week. Do they have Dolphin Week and I missed that? If so, it's not as big of a deal as Shark Week. So can we be real about that? We watch them because they're vicious killers. We like that. Why does every woman watch a murder show to relax at night? They like them vicious killers. Why do they want to save the Menendez brothers? They like the vicious killers. Wait a minute. Gentlemen, I think we should all be suspect of our wives. What are they planning? My wife got me a card one year for anniversary, and it was I think it was a Shakespeare quote. So it says, "Fool, don't you know I could have killed you in your sleep 1,000 times by now if I didn't love you?" Yes, 1,000% correct. I think she's tried when I snore. I think she has actually tried. But yes, in all seriousness, we like the sharks because they're cold-blooded killers. Meanwhile, bringing things back home, the Space Needle's new Skyline elevator, according to Como News, the first of its kind in North America, opened to the public on Friday. The new Skyliner is a double-deck floor-to-ceiling glass elevator, completely transforming the trip to the top. Each cab fits 15 to 20 riders, and the ride still takes roughly 41 seconds in either direction. The Skyliner elevator faces city's Queen Anne neighborhood. Its 8-foot glass walls offer new and unique views of the city and the Space Needle's interior structure. The new elevator is the first of 3 elevators that will be replaced by 2028. You know what? I love the Space Needle. I know it's a ripoff. I know it's a tourist trap, but we love the Space Needle here. And I do love going up there, especially since they installed the glass floor. So you know what? I think I'll take the wife on over to see the Space Needle. Haven't been there in a long time. I love the Glass Museum. I love the 2-for-1 deal. Haven't been there in a really long time, and you know what? I get free parking because it's right near us. So maybe it's time to check out the Space Needle. I haven't been there in a really, really long time, and this sounds like a lot of fun. They're doing a whole bunch of improvements over there, trying to make it better, which is great. You know what I do miss, though, is the restaurant. I always say this. Anytime we talk about the Space Needle, you know why? And you're thinking to yourselves, Ari, you're Jewish. You keep kosher. You can't eat at the restaurant. They used to have kosher meals that were delivered to the Space Needle, and they were awesome. They weren't like little TV dinner deals. They were the full meal. Wife and I always used to go there for anniversaries and stuff like that. Big occasions, birthdays and anniversaries. Used to love it. Get your drink, which is on, what was it, dry ice, so it's all bubbly when it comes to you with your kosher meal. Oh, loved it. I do miss that. Anyway, before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today, we are giving away a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Daniel's Broiler has been a Seattle favorite since 1980. Features USDA prime steak and other specialties, including chicken and fresh seafood, as well as a selection of high-end spirits, wine, and cocktails. Yeah, talk about good drinks. You can get them at Daniel's Broiler, by the way. Daniel's Broiler is open now in Bellevue, downtown Seattle, Leschi, and South Lake Union with dine-in, takeout, and delivery. Check out danielsbroiler.com to reserve a table, place your takeout, delivery order, and more. We're also giving away a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs. Learn how to design your retirement to support your quality of life for 30-plus years from Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, a local company working to help you grow deep financial roots so future financial storms don't blow your life savings away. Visit MadronaFinancial.com for more information and discover how you can create a rooted wealth plan today. We are also giving away tickets to an advanced screening of Ballerina, taking place during the events of John Wick Chapter 3. The film follows a trained assassin played by Ana de Armas who sets out to seek revenge after her father's death. Ballerina is in theaters on June 6th, so you get to see it before anybody else. Last but certainly not least, we are giving away two tickets to The Offspring at the White River Amphitheater on September 3rd. Countdown is on. Get $30 concert tickets to select shows at the White River Amphitheater, Chateau Ste. Michelle, and The Gorge. On sale now, making a summer of live music with your $30 ticket to summer. KVI has your chance to win tickets to The Offspring Supercharged Worldwide 25 Tour at the White River Amphitheater with Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory on September 3rd. Get your tickets for The Offspring and your tickets to the summer at livenation.com.
That's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait.
He's excited for
I'm incredibly excited.
livenation.com/ticket to summer. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes is be calling number 10 at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Caller number 10 wins a $50 Daniels Broiler gift card, a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, two tickets to an advanced screening of Ballerina, and 2 tickets to The Offspring at the White River Amphitheater on September 3rd. Phone lines are open now. Give Mike a call for your chance to win at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Well, that's going to do it for us today, my friends, but fear not. We'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.